everyone has a higher consciousness. You could call it your soul. It's just like if you were to sit quietly and speak directly with your gut. The state that you're in feels like that same state as when you wake up in the morning and you could still remember your dream. That's the deep theta state. You can find out anything in that state, actually. It's universal consciousness. It's like accessing what people call the Akashic records.
Hmm.
You can do that within yourself.
I love that we have all the answers within,
Oh, yeah.
and you're helping people to tap into their higher self, who's then connecting with their team. We'll call them angels, spirit guides, whomever. And that's where all the answers are coming from. Is that correct?
That's correct. Because it's incredible when you quiet your mind and you really tune into yourself. Then you can find the answers to everything. And you can even heal yourself because you're just tuning in so deeply. The whole point is you're not looking outside yourself for any of these answers. You're searching for them inside.
So welcome to the Michelle Chalfant Show, Sarah Breskman Cosme. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Woo! We're going to have a conversation, sister. I can't even wait. Cannot wait. Oh my goodness. When I knew you were coming on, I'm like, okay, where do we even begin? I think that it would be really cool to start out with, tell us just like a summary of who you are and how you became the practitioner that you are today. And we can let everybody know in advance, you're a hypnotherapist, yes?
Mm.
Okay. How did that happen? Like if you can summarize it, because then we want to get to what you're learning
Sure.
from your clients. But yeah, I think that was even an interesting story.
Well, basically, when I was growing up, I was just one of those people that everyone felt sorry for. Like, I was very overweight. I had phobias and fears, OCD that was so debilitating that it would take me about an hour to leave the house. I had so many issues, like even sleep issues. It was just so difficult. So I went to therapy for most of my young adult life. So that's why I wanted to become a therapist in the beginning. Well, actually, I wanted to become a psychologist. So I I decided I'm going to be a psychologist so I can help people, even though none of my issues really seemed to get better in therapy. It was great to talk about them. Sometimes I would feel like I would heal certain things, but I never really fully healed my issues in therapy.
Mhm.
So I went to college to become a psychologist, and something life-changing happened to me. I went after just being gone for about 2.5 months
Mhm.
in college, I went back home to my family's house, and there's this mirror that you can see when you walk through the door. And I looked at my reflection in the mirror, and I had no idea, but while I was away, I had lost a considerable amount of weight. And I thought, oh my gosh, there is a lot different about me. What just happened to me? I've only been gone like a few months, and literally I was eating the same. I mean, or worse. I mean, I was getting pizza and drinking beer. I was a freshman in college, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and it dawned on me in that moment. It was like one of those moments that changes your life. I realized, oh my gosh, I had changed my environment, which
Mm.
caused me to change my thought patterns. And I had forgotten. It wasn't like I tried. I had forgotten to have my problems. And then I thought, wow, is everything really based on our habits, our thought patterns? And then it
Mm.
changed my life. So I realized, gosh, your thoughts change your reality, don't they? And I wanted to tell everyone about this. Like, oh my gosh, I've never had OCD since. I haven't had any of these issues actually, because I
Right.
understand I could change my patterns, and really everything is patterns for me.
Mhm.
And it's just very helpful because I feel I can be in control of these things instead of out of control. Like, if I wanted to lose weight, I just investigate all my patterns and change them. It's pretty
Wow.
easy for me. So I I still continued. I graduated college, and before going to graduate school, I had an internship where my job was to counsel people. So I was working as a counselor for a little while. This is in Boston. And I was giving people their medication and counseling them with everything I had learned. And literally, I thought I was going to change the world. I mean, I just wanted to help everyone, but I felt like this wasn't working for the people that were there because they would be on so many different medications and nothing seemed to get better. I just felt
Mm.
extremely frustrated. This is just my experience. And I thought, is this all we have to offer people? I mean, how are people really supposed to get better in this way that I'm seeing? So I didn't continue. I didn't become a psychologist. Instead, I looked into other options as a way of helping people get to the root cause of their issue.
Mm.
And that's when I studied hypnotherapy. And to become a master hypnotist, you had to learn lose weight, quit smoking,
Mm.
basic regression therapy, and past life regressions. Is it was really popular. I became a master hypnotist in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And it was obvious right away that the past life regressions seemed to actually help people, even
Mm-hmm.
though this was so new to me and I wasn't sure I believed in past life regressions because I thought it was such a stretch. But I noticed that when I was practicing, people were healing. So I thought, well, I want to do something that works. I mean, people could even heal like symptoms they had had their whole life just from finding out about a past life where this symptom seemed to originate. So I studied with Dr. Brian Weiss. He was my first teacher, and I did his method for many years and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I eventually found Dolores, and I just worked my way up from the ground level. As you could probably tell, I'm a perfectionist. I worked my way up from the ground level to being a total master in the field, and then I became an instructor. And then
Mm.
I assisted Dolores's daughter all around the world in teaching when she was teaching before the quarantine. And then I wrote a book and it just went crazy from there. I did not even, I never actually tried to do any of it. And that's the thing. I never said, I'm going to do this and this is how it's going to happen. I just set the intention from a very early age. I wanted to help people. And literally, all this stuff has just been in alignment for me. I've never once tried to get on any place or platform or anything. It has literally just come to me.
I love that. I call that soul alignment.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
just really living out our path. And when we pay attention, should I do this or did this? What feels right? It sounds like you were really feeling your way through and you landed in the right place at the right time. And I love this so much. Dr. Brian Weiss, I read Many Lives, Many Masters when I was in college. So that was in the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s. And I can still remember to this day. I read his book in 2 days and came downstairs. And I remember putting the book down on the kitchen counter and I said, finally, this is what I've always believed. Here it is in black and white. Dr. Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters. So if anyone has not read that listening, we'll put it in the show notes. Go get that book. It's so, so, so good. So then you went on, though, you were referencing Dolores. So this is Dolores Cannon.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about her technique and what you learned from her for the people that might not know who that is. And again, this is another name to do a search on YouTube for Dolores Cannon. Go watch some of her videos to check her work out.
So Dolores and Dr. Brian Weiss both
Mhm.
do past life regressions, but what's different about her technique is that the goal of her sessions, her modality, is to really access the higher consciousness. So you in both of these type of modalities, you bring the client to the deepest level of trance,
Mhm.
and then you go through their past life or lives or wherever they see. You don't lead them anywhere. This is stuff that they tell you that they're
Mhm.
seeing. And then after that, you ask to speak with their higher consciousness. And basically, everyone has a higher consciousness. You could call it your soul. It's just like if you were to sit quietly and speak directly with your gut, that part of you that knows everything. because
Mhm.
it's incredible when you quiet your mind and you really tune into yourself. Then you can find the answers to everything. You can find out who you really are, your true purpose, and you can even heal yourself because you're just
Mm.
tuning in so deeply. You can find out about your past lives. The state that you're in feels like that same state as when you wake up in the morning and you could still remember your dream. That's the deep theta state. You can find out anything in that state, actually. If you had someone sitting next to you and you could tell that person all about your dream, and then you just started talking about different things you could access, you could
Mhm.
find out so much. And it's within you. It's not, using any drugs or anything like that.
I love that. So, even I'm curious about when you first started working and doing the training with Dolores versus Dr. Brian Weiss. I mean, that book, again, for those of you that don't know Many Lives, Many Masters, he was referred a client. I think her name was Catherine, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
right?
Was Catherine.
Catherine. And she had so many unbelievable phobias. And he did hypnotherapy with her. And when he brought her into a hypnotic state, she, without knowing, which was so amazing, did not know, but she was going back through past lives. And it was confusing for him because he didn't believe in this. That's what I loved. He did not believe in this. And Catherine would go into these past lives where she experienced. I remember one of the things was she was afraid to cross bridges over water. And she went through that past life, came out of it, and then the phobia was completely 100% gone, and she didn't have any memory of it after coming out of it. So that's Brian Weiss. Then we've got Dolores Cannon. You're trained in both, but your sessions are very similar to how Dolores Cannon did hers.
I love both of them, and they're both
Yeah.
fantastic teachers. But just for my research, because I love just finding out the answers to everything,
Mm-hmm.
I do Dolores Cannon's method because I use her method to access the higher consciousness and just find out everything. I mean, I could find out anything, really, because deep within us is the same place. It's universal consciousness. So it's like accessing what people call the Akashic records.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I love using her method or, a combination or even my own method for taking my clients to find out information for my books for
I,
research.
I love that. So let's go into what your sessions look like, what happens during your sessions, what sorts of clients would come to you. What do you get, like people that have physical ailments, emotional, curious, or all of the above? Like who would seek you out for a session?
Basically all of the above. And I am so booked up right now that I think I have like a 2-year waiting list, but now I do workshops so that more people can experience this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in a sense, all different people come. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people come to heal something. Maybe they have a physical issue or they have a very horrible phobia,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And they just really they don't want to go outside themselves. They know better and they know that they need to seek within themselves to find
Mm-hmm.
the real answer.
So break down for us what does a session look like for you? Like how does that happen?
So basically, it depends on if it's a research session,
Mm-hmm.
which through my work, I'll find really amazing people that don't know this stuff consciously. I love working with people that don't have a background in metaphysics or they've never read one of my books and they just come in to heal something and they are an amazing clear channel like Edgar Casey or something
Uh-huh.
amazing. If you don't know who Edgar Casey was, he also used a method similar to this and he could access anything and even predict the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of clients that I use like this for my research. And what I do is I ask them all very similar questions and see if I can validate the information I'm working on. For my actual paying clients, I don't use that for research because they're paying me. I can't ask my own questions. So they come in, we talk about their life and their story and what's happened to them. And that actually can take about an hour to 2 hours, usually 2 hours.
Mhm.
And then in the session, I bring them into a deep state of hypnosis and I regress them back to, I just tell them regress to go back to the most appropriate time and place. Because I don't tell them go back to a past life or go anywhere. I let their own team basically
Mhm. Mhm.
take them to where they're supposed to go. And then after that, I ask to speak with their higher consciousness. And then I can ask the questions that they bring in for their session. So people bring in all kinds of questions. Some people want to know what the very root cause of their
Mm.
physical issue is, or how can they really heal or mend a relationship. Some people want to know facts about the past. Some people want to know how the pyramids, were built or what happened in Atlantis. Or someone will want to know, should they buy this house or should they, wait for a little while? Things like that. And they can find out by asking themselves and really listening to themselves, which makes us very different than asking a psychic because the whole point is you're not looking outside yourself for any of these answers.
Mm.
You're searching for them inside.
I love that. So the answers are not coming like they're not coming from a psychic or medium or anyone outside. We have all the answers within,
Oh, yeah.
and you're helping people to tap into their higher self, who's then connecting with their team, we'll call them angels, spirit guides, whomever. And that's where all the answers are coming from. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, beautiful. So you spend about an hour or two with people, then you take them into the hypnosis or the trance state. How long does that take? Is that like an hour or 2 hours? How long do you spend?
It's about 2 hours.
Mhm.
I don't like to keep people much longer than 2 hours under hypnosis because sometimes they can be a little groggy. It depends.
Mhm.
But while they're under, I'll ask their higher self if how their body is doing and can they continue.
Okay.
As the higher self knows everything about the client. So they will let me know, oh no, that person is done. You need to wake them up, or, they're getting tired, or yes, they have plenty of time.
I love that. And then do you find then that if somebody, let's say, like, let's use Catherine, someone has a phobia, somebody has a physical issue, are you getting information or does the healing actually happen in the hypnotic state?
Oh, it really just depends, actually. So when I'm asking clients, say it was Catherine, and I asked her higher self, what's the very root cause of this phobia?
Mhm.
And if they were to say, oh, the root cause is an experience she had from a different lifetime, she just
Mhm.
carried it over into this lifetime. Then I
Mhm.
would ask things like, well, does she need it in this current lifetime for any reason? Has she learned all she needed to learn from it?
Mhm.
And if they said, no, this is from the past, she doesn't need it anymore, then it would instantly translate into the physical body. So the reason why people don't heal all the time instantly, I've noticed over the years, is if the the physical issue is no longer needed, then the body doesn't have to be a messenger anymore because literally the body is a messenger.
Mm.
And we're just it's almost like we're lied to from birth, thinking that anytime we have any physical issue, our bodies are not capable of healing it. First of all, that's what
Mhm.
we're told.
Mhm.
And then we're told to seek outside ourselves, but it's so far from the truth, really. Whenever we get a physical issue, it's the body sending a message. So if we quiet our mind a little bit and just listen, what is the message the body is sending me? It's a literal message. So when my clients under hypnosis realize the root cause to whatever it is, whether it's a phobia or fear or physical issue, and if this isn't needed anymore, if they've learned all the lessons they've learned and that they needed to learn from it, and it served its
Mhm.
purpose because all physical issues have a purpose to them. They're teachers. So when you've gotten the message, you've learned from them. If you were to really embrace these physical
Mhm.
issues as teachers and love them for what they are doing for you, then it would really shift how you see physical issues because they are not something that's formed against you.
Mm,
They're doorways of opportunities. So if you really love it for what it is and see it that way, it's really helpful. So if the person has learned all they needed to learn, and then it's instantly translated, it's gone. They'll notice a
mhm,
huge difference. It's totally
mhm,
gone. If, say, a person has a physical issue, and just for an example, they have blurry eyesight, they need to wear glasses.
mhm,
Under hypnosis, they see, oh, they blurred their eyesight because things in their lifetime were felt very unstable and they didn't want to see clearly to what's around them,
mhm,
so they blurred their eyesight.
mhm,
And then I ask, do they need this physical issue anymore? No, but we would like them to practice this meditation, like where they feel calm and confident every
mhm.
day. And then we'll release it. We'll start releasing it now since they got this message. It'll take a couple days, maybe a week, and they'll notice a difference in a week. Then there's the people that I get a lot of the time. This is just so very common. I'll get a client and then this is just an example. How come so and so what's the very root cause of her issue with her eyes? Why is her vision so blurry and getting worse? Okay, this is very common, especially
Oh,
right now.
mhm,
Her vision is getting worse, so worse that her doctor said, they're going to have to do surgery on her. And this is a really common example. And under hypnosis, their higher self says, oh, we've been trying to get her attention. We've been putting billboards and signs. We have a book by her bed. We want her to do this, blah, 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 blah. And we keep trying to get this message across, but she's not listening to herself. She knows better. She knows to stop doing blah, 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 blah. And we want her to do blah, 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 blah. Usually it's like loving herself or something, actually usually
mhm,
very simple. And
mhm,
then, so of course, I'll ask, okay, well, she got that message. Can you heal her eyes now? No way. There is no way we will take that away unless we see she does blah, 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 blah. If she does blah, 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 blah for like a full month straight, then yes, we will slowly heal her eyesight. But we want her to continue doing whatever it is. So that's the
wow.
only reason people don't heal. The only reason is
Mhm,
because they haven't fully learned whatever the lesson is, or the purpose of it isn't over. So some people have a physical issue that they want, believe it or not, for their soul's growth. And so they want this physical issue, and that physical issue is not meant to go away. So there's that as well.
mhm. Give me an example of that. What physical issue might not want to go away, whether it be cancer or a knee pain or a heart issue or
So
anything?
anything, no, not normally, not pain, because pain is an indicator getting your attention.
Mhm,
But something like cancer, some people choose to leave early for many different reasons because whenever a person leaves earlier than people would think, somebody that leaves life young, what
mhm,
happens is they are actually here as a volunteer to teach everyone in their environment. Like, so everyone learns so much from them. Maybe
mhm,
they teach people the value of like really enjoying your life. Maybe they teach somebody like to love their loved ones more. Whatever it is, those are teachers, and they come in
mhm.
for that specific role, and they do not want to prolong their lives. That's not what they signed up for at all. So those people would leave early as they decided they wanted to before coming in.
So, and when you're saying this, I'm thinking about, yes, I know people that have died younger, like not in their 80s or 90s or
Right.
70s, but even children, I know some children that were here that left too early. I know a 9-year-old, I know a 15-year-old, I know a 2-year-old that left, and they were precious. They always felt like angels on earth to me. And then poof, they were gone. Do you feel that people die on time based
People,
on
oh,
your based on your understandings.
Based on my understandings, no one dies when it's not the right time. Nobody. There are no accidents at all.
Mhm.
So maybe other people have a different perspective on this, but I don't after thousands of sessions.
Thousands of sessions. You heard it here. I just don't believe that we can die by accident. Like, oh shoot, if we had only had, you know, a different medicine, or if they hadn't been driving that night. I've always felt in my heart and soul that when I hear stories like that, no, they were meant to go. That was their way out of this body. Whether it be, we just had this massive flooding six months ago up in North Carolina. You're in Florida. The hurricane came right up through and people died, and some of it was horrific. But I thought, wow, those people knew, like, on some level, even in these horrifying deaths, these people know on some level that it's time to go. That is their time to go, correct?
Yeah, and what's interesting is when like a group of people leave, when
Yeah.
it's publicized and things like that, that teaches everyone.
Yeah.
So that's like early death, but at a mass scale. So yes, it's interesting too, because I've had clients, who come in for their session curious about a
Mhm.
strange event in their lifetime. Almost everyone, believe it or not, has had a guardian angel show up in their life and they didn't know it was an angel. I
Mm.
mean, almost everyone. It's just this person wasn't actually physical.
Wow. Give us an example.
Like, for instance, I had this one client, she was being well, I have so many, but I had this one client who was chased by this group of men and they took her down to the ground and they were going to rape her and they actually were going to murder her. And out
Wow.
out of nowhere, this man just shows up and he said, "Leave her alone." And so they just, because they were so shocked by this and the man had like a gun, he just came out of nowhere.
Hmm.
They disperse. Anyway, she turns around to thank the man. The man is gone. Like, that's
Oh
just
my
one
God.
example. Or, you know, this is a real crazy example, but I had one client, she was being, again, I'm just thinking of the same types of examples, but she was at a party and she got drunk with her friend and they were being chased too by a group of
Hmm.
men.
Hmm.
And no offense to men, this is just my example. And so they're driving, okay? They're being chased, but they're in like this cornfield and they don't know the way out. It's like totally deserted. And so she doesn't know what's going to happen. They don't, they're being chased down. So all of a sudden, she finds herself asleep. She's asleep at the wheel, and her friend too, and she wakes back up on the road near her house. So
What?
under hypnosis, okay, under hypnosis, she finds out that her group of angels put her to sleep and lifted her car.
What?
Yes, and
I,
moved it. I was like, how is that even possible? Then when people
wow.
say, like what do people see? They're like, no, when basically when it's not your time to go, there's a whole orchestration happening to make sure you're fine.
You're giving me a memory of my son, one of my older son, Graham. He had to be maybe 9 years old or younger, probably 8 or 9, something like that. He was a little kid. And we were visiting my sister's house, and she's got like, he was up on the second floor, and there's stairs kind of turned at the top and then went down to the first floor. It's all hardwood. There's no carpet. And he was running because his cousins were chasing him. So he ran and he went to turn. And then I can still hear him saying this to me. And he turned and he was about to fall all the way down the stairs. And he said it was like he lifted halfway down and was caught. And he came to me right after. I said, "What just happened?" Because he did bounce down like the two bottom stairs. And he said, "Mommy, an angel carried me down."
Yeah.
And
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh, I don't
"Okay."
doubt
I
it.
said, "I believe it. I believe you because I don't know how you didn't just fall. I didn't hear you running because I don't know where I was, but I was right there and up or down. But I remember going, what happened?" And he said, "Mommy, an angel just carried me down the stairs." I was like, "Okay."
Yep. And there'll be a sign. It's funny too, because a lot of like grandparents or parents that pass over guard the next generation's children and same, it's really interesting because I'll hear that story from people, countless numbers of people. So that's
Yeah.
just really, it just goes to show you leave when it's your time to leave,
Yeah.
when you're supposed to leave.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that validation. I want to go back for a minute to people, someone that has a physical illness, some sort of illness, right? Mental, emotional, physical, any of the above. What would be something, since we can't get into you because you're 2 years out. Yes, we can go to your workshop, but what have you learned through thousands and thousands of clients? What can we do today that will help us to start that healing process? So turn towards self or turn toward that illness or tell us, give us a few steps there.
If you can find a place where you can just be really quiet and ask your body questions.
Mhm,
Really, that's such a great first step. And ask the question, what is the very root cause of this issue?
mhm,
Is there something I need to learn from this?
mhm.
What is it that I have to learn? Have I learned this already? What is the purpose of it? And then what could I do to release it? And if you listen deeply to yourself, you can hear the answers. But I made this
Yeah,
easier. So I have a little easy class for people called Heal Yourself with self-hypnosis. So people could do this, on their own. And
I love that.
yeah, it
Is
just
that on your
helps me.
website? Because we'll
It
link it.
is. It's
Okay,
under classes.
thank you. What about people that have recurring patterns? So I have a friend of mine, her daughter, she keeps getting into relationships with other girls, and these little girls, they're like 20 years old. They're little to me. They keep like she keeps getting screwed over for lack of a better way of saying it. She keeps getting into friendships that feel so good. And then inevitably that girl will turn on her, or that girl sides with a bully, or that girl is, it's like, she's like, what is going on? And I just said to her the other day, I said, you need to ask yourself, what am I not learning from this? What is happening here? Why is my soul, why does my soul keep setting me up with these relationships? I want to be done. What am I missing? So,
I love I
okay.
love that you advised her to do that because that's exactly what I would advise her to do too. Because even if you look at all your relationships,
Mhm.
like we just keep choosing, it's amazing. You could basically find the same exact person
Yes.
because there's a lesson that you need to learn basically. And as soon as you really learn it,
Hmm.
then you can release that pattern. So
Yes.
it's really about really learning. So what is it that she could change,
And
and
it's not about the other person. And I said this to her.
never.
I said, it's about you. What are you not doing or doing that continues to create this pattern? And she was like, huh. And I said, yeah, just contemplate this. Just contemplate. She said, okay. But yeah. So here's the question though. What if it is from another lifetime and she does not have access to that? Will she still get nudges to guide her in the right way in this lifetime without doing
Yeah.
hypnosis?
Oh, definitely. I mean, most of the time it is patterns. Many times we have the same lesson we're trying to learn over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So by learning it in this lifetime, we'll just be healed for so many other lifetimes, believe it or not. Because whatever you're doing in your current life is actually healing all the other versions of yourself. It even helps your ancestors and your whole ancestral lineage. So if she learns a lesson or she just figures out what it is that she doesn't
Mhm.
need anymore and she really makes a decision, she could really heal so much. It would be amazing.
I love that. So, how would someone, again, I love that you've had all these experiences because you're literally tapping into the other side and bringing back such incredible information just by through your clients, right? What would you say to somebody that's trying really hard to have their best life and they keep getting blocked, they keep getting stuck? What could they do?
That's such a good question. So, if you think about what living your best life is sort of like a something that's a vibrational match almost like full of energy. and just energetically become more in alignment with that.
Mhm.
I think what happens to a lot of people is they think that manifesting like their best life means they have to create it in their mind first. Because
Mhm.
sometimes it doesn't work that way. Usually, if you just decide how you want to feel in your life and you say, I want to feel like this, I want my life to be like this, then the universe will work to make that start to happen for you. But I mean, even for myself, I somehow found myself so in alignment with this job. But believe me, I was like, there were times when I wanted a different thing and I pushed so hard and it would just not work out because it wasn't in alignment with
Mm.
what I truly wanted. It
Mhm.
wasn't going to really help people in the best way that I could. And I'm
Mm.
so glad that those things didn't work out. It's just like when you lose a job, and you think, oh, this is so devastating, or someone breaks up with you and you feel so heartbroken. And then later you're able to find a better relationship or a better job. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
So if they feel stuck, then they're not in alignment with what it is that maybe that they're supposed to do,
Mm.
or
Mm.
maybe they feel stuck because, they really need to really take inventory and look around, and maybe they're not feeling fulfilled and they're not feeling what they thought they were going to feel.
Mhm. What about, is it that if we are on the right path, should it be, I don't like the word should, but could it be easy, or is it easier if we're in alignment with our soul aligned path? Or are there some times where there are road bump or speed bumps or roadblocks to help us work through something to then get there on the other side?
Well, definitely. Just for an example, take a person that says they want to lose weight. They
Mhm.
say, I want to lose weight. But when they really look deeper into this, they find they have resistance to losing weight because the
Mhm.
weight acts as a buffer, it acts as a layer of protection.
Mhm.
And so there is resistance there to them being in alignment with losing weight. If they were fully in alignment and they had no resistance,
Mhm.
then they would easily lose weight very effortlessly. But because they feel they need protection, so it would be working on the resistance. Why do they feel they need protection? And going deeper into that, that will teach them so much about how to find protection within themselves. So if you have resistance to what it is that you think you really want,
Yeah.
or if you've really wanted something and it's not happening, then look back over your life and see where you have resistance.
Mm.
Because it's that you need to really go deeper into and explore.
Got it. Thank you. That was really good. I want to shift gears as we move toward the end here for the last little quarter we have here. I love this. So you are learning so much about the world through your clients. Are you, I would guess that you're not as surprised anymore as when you once started. Like now you're probably like, "Oh, here it is again, whatever." So what if someone comes in and they're an atheist, someone that does not believe in past lives? Are they shocked when you're able to take them through hypnosis?
Sometimes, yes. I've had clients like that, and that's fine, because you don't need to have any belief system.
Mhm.
I've even I've even given my husband sessions and he just doesn't even really care about this stuff at all, but he'll still go see an amazing past life and heal himself. I love personally working with people like that who don't know about any of this stuff because
Mhm.
I feel like it's very validating for me.
Mhm.
But it really doesn't matter. Some people are very shocked. Some people are shocked that under hypnosis they can remember being an extraterrestrial. Or my
Wow.
my favorite is I had this woman, she was so sweet, and she told me all about her six grandchildren, and she just wanted to heal her allergies. So she came in for that.
Mhm.
She knew a little bit. Her daughter set up the appointment. She knew like this was might be a past life regression, but little did she know as she's under hypnosis, all of a sudden she's remembering in full detail being an extraterrestrial coming to this earth plane, and that she was very allergic to the environment. It was really difficult for her to get used to it. And then she realized that she died and realized that that's where her horrible allergies came from, was able to heal them. So anyway, as I'm bringing her out of hypnosis, she's just bewildered, like because she
Wow.
didn't really know about, this type of extraterrestrial, or we were finding out about where she came from and just their technology, how they lived and things like that.
Oh
So
my
that was
God.
pretty interesting.
Wow. And and at the end was she like, "Yeah, I believe this," or "This makes sense," or
Yeah, it was, it's funny because it's like anything when you really listen deeply to yourself. She said even, wow, I feel like I've always known this deep down, but now
yeah.
I'm just returning to it as something she pushed away. Right.
Wow. I remember I did a training hypnotherapy. Wait, let me think what it was called. Transpersonal hypnotherapy. So it is all about going like a Brian Weiss kind of training, and did 2 weeks of it. I became a master trainer. This is years ago. And I remember working with a client, someone in the class, and I worked with this woman, and she had horrible asthma. And I said, okay, we're just training. It was one of the 2 weeks that we were together. And I said, okay, I can work with you. So during that session I did with her, she had horrible asthma in this lifetime. She says, I'd like to see if I can clear that. I said, okay. So I took her into to the trance state, and immediately it was crazy. She said, I'm 14. I'm a boy. I'm in France. And she said, and she described like a uniform, and there was a battle going on. And she described the guy, I mean, in great detail, described her outfit. And then she said, I can't breathe. And she said, when I stand, she goes, I'm hunched to the ground. And she said, but when I stand up, she says, there's a clouds of smoke from the battle, from all the firing from the guns. And she said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, but I have to get out of here. And when she'd stood up, again, this is all under, in her trance state. She said she'd stood up as this boy that was in battle. She ended up dying from, how do you say it, asphyxiation,
Yes.
because she had inhaled so much smoke.
Oh,
And then when she died, we spoke to the higher self, and her higher self said, yes, she carried that from this lifetime into this, and this is why she has asthma. But this can now heal. I was like, this is the coolest thing. It was so, because I mean, I didn't know this lady at all, and here we are being matched up, and she was in shock. She said, she goes, I don't have any affiliation with France. I don't think about that. And I said, yep. So you must have thousands and thousands of cases of this, but I loved it. It was so cool. So cool.
oh, I love it. I mean, you can find out anything. I think it's so powerful. I mean, just like people have birthmarks on their bodies sometimes as Brian
Yeah.
Weiss used to talk about it, energetic imprint or an imprint that
Uh-huh.
was left over from like an exit wound or time in a
Yes.
different lifetime. But we can also have these energetic imprints where a physical issue can energetically show up, and then
Mm,
get
mm,
this issue again,
mm,
just as a way to like look deeper into it.
I
I love
love
that
that.
message.
So again, I want to shift gears slightly here. So all you're hearing from so many people in your sessions, getting so much information that comes through. What are you hearing some themes about what's happening on our planet now?
Oh my gosh, yes, there's a lot of theme. I think this really is, it's been called like this great awakening
Mhm.
where people are starting to really remember who they really are. I think, gosh, and what I've been hearing is there really is a rebalancing happening. So in any type of rebalancing, it's very chaotic, but there's a very strong rebalancing happening, especially when it comes to, women and men, or the divine masculine, divine feminine. And just the power within a woman has been suppressed for thousands and thousands of years. And women have no
Yep.
idea just how powerful they are.
Yep.
And even things down to like menopause, the actual reason women go through menopause is not what people are told. It's actually back in the ancient cultures, it was an ancient rite of passage where the woman stepped into this divine sacred passageway to become like the goddess. In the ancient cultures, the woman that had already gone through menopause, who was postmenopausal, who stopped having cycles, was seen as the most beautiful. She was revered in all these societies, all of them. Even if you look to tribal societies, say, the woman that had gone through menopause was the leader. And one of the reasons was her womb was empty. The womb is a powerful place of creation. So in all these ancient cultures, the woman that had the womb empty would be so powerful at that they would revere her because she could create anything, basically. So the women that were still going through their cycles were
Mhm.
very important because actually, and I don't know if it's studied or going to be studied, the power of that woman, especially when it comes to her like menstrual blood, believe it or not, was seen as something that could give life back to sick plants because menstrual blood has properties in them that people don't
Wow.
study. It would rejuvenate the sick because they're stem cells. There's a creative potential in this blood. It was
Mm.
used for many different things. And it was actually something that was so beautiful. And they would have all kinds of ceremonies just with the power of women coming together because they understood that women were so powerful. Women that were going through their menstrual cycle actually were very powerful because you're much more powerful when you have access to more emotions, believe it or not. And
Wow.
so women don't know this because no one wants to talk about it. But menopause is actually really amazing because I haven't gone through it yet. I'm not really excited though from what my clients tell me, but what the higher selves has said is that when a woman has certain symptoms, they coincide with what she's been suppressing. So it's
Get
helping her
out
become
of here.
more in alignment with her divine goddessness. So that's
Ooh.
why women experience hot flashes from being suppressed for so long. Basically, what that is suppressed anger. So she never was able to voice her opinions, wasn't able to get this anger out. It's coming to the surface. That's why every woman has a different symptom. It's bringing whatever it is they've suppressed to the surface so they
Wow.
could step into their divine self. And just for instance, like women often gain belly fat during
Mhm.
menopause.
Yeah.
Well, the higher self has said that's because the womb is such a powerful source of creation. If the woman hasn't stepped into what she needed to creatively birth, then energetically she will put on weight there. Because basically, what that is energy. It's her creative desires that need to be birthed. And then when she does what she's supposed to do and step into this divine role, then she will, release this weight. Just like, I'm always asking the higher self because my clients come in and they're experiencing brain fog.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
thing that
Mhm.
a lot of women experience when they're going through this transition. And the higher self says, oh, yes, brain fog is them not releasing all the past, not, knowledge that doesn't serve them. They're supposed to release all of that. They're not supposed to have as much access to that. We want all this new, ancient, well, it's not new, but ancient information, ancient wisdom. We want the wisdom to return and we want there to be more space for this. So it's a beautiful transitionary time.
Uh,
So that's one of the themes, and believe it or not, that's been coming up like crazy recently. I
I've
have
been
a lot of that in my book, A Hypnotist Journey to Avalon. I
ooh.
put it in there because there's so much about women in that latest book I wrote.
Oh my god, I'm getting that book. I've read your other book. I'm gonna get that book now. I love that. And you know what? I've had intuitive hits or downloads on that because I get very stressed. I am in the middle of this whole menopause situation, and Wow, what you just said, I feel like it was for me. And I'm sure all the women listening are going to go, that was for me too. And I hope, sisters, you are listening and you embrace this. We are becoming our goddess self. That's so gorgeous. And the brain fog, that makes so much sense. And the hot flashes. But the brain fog, I've actually had downloads that have said to me, you don't need that information. Let it go. And I'm like, but I can't remember this. And I'll go into beating up on myself. Is that brain fog? And I've heard the voices come in and say, let it go. You don't need it. It's taking up too much space. So thank you. Just
Yeah,
validated that.
you're welcome. And
Beautiful.
then what's more beautiful, the butterfly or the caterpillar? I mean, that's why they were revered in all these ancient cultures. If you look back to all the ancient cultures, it was a matriarchal society for a reason, because they are so extremely powerful. And that's why they've been suppressed. This is too threatening.
I can't believe you just said that because that's what's on the front cover of my new book, The Adult Chair. It goes from the caterpillar to the mush to the butterfly. Yeah, I literally when you said that, I'm like, okay, too many coincidences. Our higher selves are at play right here.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking about menopause and the validation is the butterfly. I take everything as a sign, so I appreciate it. So it does feel this way to me. There's a huge awakening on the planet right now. People are having a hard time with it too. You know, I've had moments of hard times, but what the way I see it, and I want your validation here, I want to understand it, is that there's so much light coming up through us. The old, and I'm using air quotes here, cannot exist. Like the old self has to go and we cling to it because that's part of the ego. To me, this feels like a dismantling of the ego so we
Yeah.
can become our fullest self, so we can become our highest self in human form. Can you expand on that or?
Yeah, just like what you were talking about before, how come people aren't achieving their goals? And the reason is because there's some resistance. And
Yeah.
it's the resistance that we're releasing right now when it comes
Mm.
to us moving into, this new way of being with one another. So we're really dealing with all of our collective resistance. It's very chaotic because it's very hard. I mean, for humans to change. It's
Yeah.
really hard. It's
Yeah.
hard just to change belief systems. Look how much of a struggle that is with, discoveries in like Egypt. It's change is really hard. So it's dealing with that resistance for yourself,
Right.
for collectively, you know, this grand scale of things. It's just chaotic until we can release it all
Yeah.
go into this new way of being.
But even though it feels like, and it's not just in the United States, but the world, wherever you live, there's a lot of division right now. This person believes this person believes this. There are wars, there are extreme weather events happening, there are political things going on. It's leading us into something more beautiful, more loving. Tell us about what you feel like from what your clients are sharing with you. What's coming? There is a purpose for all of this.
There, there is, but there's a lot of chaos right now. There really is.
Hmm.
But you are always being taken care of. You are always in the right place at the right time. You're very well helped. And it's true. There's light coming from all over to help us move through this growth phase. That's the
Hmm.
way people learn is through, trauma, chaos, that's what's needed in order to teach us to move us forward. Unfortunately, no one seems to learn, when things are easy because if it was just easy, there'd be no growth. And that's what we're really here for. We're here to learn lessons. We're here to
Yes.
grow and expand ourselves. So right now what is happening is a whole bunch of chaos. We're learning what can we do? And this divide and conquer tactic is a tactic. That's all it is. None of it is even really true, is what I hear from my clients under hypnosis. So
Mm.
it's a method
Mhm.
of putting people against each other. Just just for instance, when I wrote my third book that's about this one Native American under hypnosis, my client remembered this lifetime in the 1800s, and it
Mm.
was this Native American came through her and just shared his own firsthand perspective of walking the Trail of Tears. It was so hard for me to hear this perspective because I just got so angry, honestly, about how could people do this to other people, just because
Mhm.
their skin color is different. It
Right.
was horrific. And
Mhm.
I really was just so angry. And this Native American, his name was Anawaya, and he lived in the 1800s. And he said, no, most of them, not all of them, and they never said it was okay, but he
Mhm.
said most of them knew it wasn't the white man they were fighting. As he said, the white man's culture has been stolen from them so long ago, they don't even remember that they had a culture, that they used to have ancient beliefs and work with nature just like all other indigenous cultures, but their culture has been stolen from them and they're just walking around as slaves. So he said, we know it's not the white man we're fighting. Most of them did.
Mhm.
And it helped me really shift perspective. It's not each other that anybody's fighting. It's just this negativity that serves a purpose on the planet at this time.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
really it's not, it shouldn't be, person versus person.
No.
It's like, let's, unfortunately, we haven't figured that out yet. And so there will be chaos until we really realize that we have to come together and see each other for the light within each other, you know?
Right. Oh my gosh, that's really good. Yeah, and people have asked for years or have commented even for years, like, I would never pick these parents. I would have never picked this family. That's not true. What do you say to that from, again, the thousands of clients that you've met with? We're here in soul school. We're
Yeah.
here as spiritual beings first in human suits. That's it. But we come here to learn. So please expand on that.
It's like this. If you really desire to come in to learn and experience a golden age, then you would come in to experience what that isn't, because
Mm.
that would teach you what you would wish a golden age to be. And so if you come in to learn like self-love, then usually you would choose parents that didn't love you, as it would force you to learn how to find the love within yourself. So it's very similar to what's happening now. Everyone that comes in at this time period comes in knowing before they come in that there is this awakening happening. They want this
Mhm.
experience, believe it
Yeah.
or not, for their
Yeah.
soul's growth. So by seeing what this collective experience of love is not, then they could see exactly what they want. And that's helping everybody learn, okay, I would really like it if we weren't so divided. I would
Mhm.
really like it if I felt more comfortable with other people. I really like it if people stop backstabbing me, you know.
Yeah.
So things like that. So it's teaching everybody so much right now. This is like in my clients' sessions, they see this as like the rebalancing part, basically.
Mhm.
But where we're headed is beautiful, but this is more challenging.
What's the most important piece of advice that you can give any human right now on their life path? What is the most important thing that we can practice every day?
Well, for a practice, it would be to learn to listen to yourself first. So
Mhm.
if you if you hear something and you take that whatever you heard and you sit with it, if it doesn't feel good, then it's wrong. If
Mm.
it feels right, then it's good. And
Mhm.
just go using the judgment within your body and
Got it.
learn to listen to yourself. But also, I think a really beneficial practice for everyone, I mean, I hear it all the time in my client session, is to spend more time in nature because
Mhm.
you can heal yourself in nature. Nature has a sound, nature has a calendar, nature has messages, nature is giving you information. Nature will even give you remedies. If you spend enough time in nature, it will even help you and probably shoot up some weeds that help whatever issue you're dealing with. So
Yeah.
spending more time in nature is always like one of the best things we can do. Or if you don't have any nature nearby, develop a relationship with a plant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with right there with you. I love there is something magical about nature. It
Of
does. It
course.
speaks to us. It's there to heal us. It's there to help us get in our hearts and ground and give us information, like you said. So I love that. Oh my gosh, Sarah, I want to keep going. I know we have to end. So where would people find you?
You can go to my website, theholistichehypnotist.com, and find out where I'm going next and what I'm doing.
I love it.
And, and you could get all my books on Amazon or off my website.
Perfect. And just Google, we can just go into Amazon and just, when I went in, I just pulled up your name and all your books popped up. So thank you, thank you, thank you for today. We so appreciate you being with us. This was really magical.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.